For your project this week, and for most of your projects this semester, you are required to have your images at 8 by 10 inches, or it could be 10 by 8, or a little bit larger. This is really a minimum size, with a print resolution of 250. Now keep in mind for your assignment this week, you have to create 2 of these deconstructed / reconstructed pieces, all right? So both of them. So I want to talk about what's like the different ways that you can make sure that you have your image set up to be the correct size. Jump over to Photoshop. So really the easiest way to make sure you're always doing it the right size is just to simply create a new file and make it that size and copy and paste everything into it. So over here, I'm going to go to inches, and you can decide, do you want it to be like a landscape or a portrait, so horizontal or vertical. It doesn't really matter to me. So I'm going to make it 8 inches wide by 10 inches high. Print resolution. So I want that resolution to be set to 250. And at this point, I could go and give it a name, but I'm just going to hit create. So here's my document. This is the right side. For some reason, I see it set up to grayscale. I must have missed something there, but I know how to change that. I go up to image mode, and I'm going to switch that to RGB. So I'm not quite sure why it was at grayscale. It might be because I had copied something previously in as grayscale. So you probably won't have that. Okay, and now I could start copying and pasting an image into it. So let's say I'm going to do an image search, and I had looked for newspaper just as an idea, like maybe I want this to be the image that I deconstruct and then reconstruct into something else. So let's say, for example, if I took this image and I'm just going to click on it, and then I will right click and copy this image and go back over to Photoshop and paste it in using that keyboard shortcut Control V. And it's a really small image, okay? So remember what I've said in other videos, I don't want you to do Control T transform and make it larger. Do not do that. It makes it pixelated and you will have points taken off. It's not a good practice. But if something is large, you can do that to make it small. So I might be okay with this. I might decide I'm just going to, duplicate this a bunch of times, and then I'm going to start slicing it up. I'll take my rectangular marquee tool, and maybe I just want to take like this. Oh, I meant to pick my other tool, the rectangle here. I'm going to take this one. Maybe I take a couple of letters, and I'm going to do that keyboard shortcut Control J. That creates its own, puts that selection on its own layer. Maybe I just decide to completely fill this up with selections that I made from this small image here. But if you wanted to have a larger image, something that would perhaps fill the background or come close to filling the background, in your image search, go back over here, click on your tools. I guess it depends on what browser you're looking for, but look for where you have an option for the size and choose large instead. So if you wanted to fill the background of an image that's 8 by 10 inches with a resolution of 250, you need to look for something that's around 2000, 2500 pixels. So let's see, it should be when I hover over, maybe just because I'm recording the screen, but it should be normally if you're hovering over, you could get the pixel amount. So let's just pick something else. And it's still not telling me the image size, but okay, I'm going to click on it again. It should be large. Yeah, that looks like it's going to be quite large. Okay. And now I will do the same thing. Right click, copy, go back over to Photoshop. I'm just going to paste it over this one. Paste. Okay, so this one is a horizontal. I can see it's a horizontal, but it is a lot larger. It just fits actually perfectly right into here. So I could then use this one instead if I want something that's going to cover up more of the background. It doesn't really have a lot of image stuff, but okay. So if you're going to do it like that, and if you're concerned about getting an image that covers most of your background, then just under your tools, go and make sure that you chose large there. Okay, let's go through another scenario. So What if you have a picture that you shot with your camera? That might be okay. So I'm going to go up to image, image size. And this one is 9.6 by 11.7 by 300, and that's fine. So my 8 by 10 inches with a resolution of 250 is a minimum. I'm okay if it's 300, but if I wanted to change that down to 250, I now have an 11 by 14, and that's fine. It's a little bit bigger than the size I had asked for, but I'm okay with that as long as it's not like 30 by 40 inches. That would be too much. So it could be possible you just use your own image. Now this is locked, so if I want to start cutting this up with selections, I need to unlock it. I can just take this lock and throw it into the trash can. And now I could start making some selections of this. I'm using my keyboard shortcuts. Use the V tool to switch to that. And remember to jump back to your background to be able to go, and if you want to go back to the original source and make those selections, and I'll do Control J again and then V to take that move tool and move it out. So, you know, maybe I start working and slicing it up, but right now I still want to just stick with that idea of the different ways you can get your image set up to be the correct size. Okay, so this is taking an existing image that is large enough and just checking under image, image size that it's large enough. Now I'm going to check this one if it's large enough, image, image size. And I see it's not. It's 4 inches by 3 inches. Now if I want to lower the resolution, remember resample is not on. I don't want this checked. I'm going to just lower my resolution, which will bring the size of my width and height up. It's still not large enough. It's 5 by 3, but that's okay. I'll click OK. And then we can do what I talked about in one of my other videos. I could increase the canvas size. So I'm going to switch this to inches. And because this is a landscape, a horizontal, I'll make this side 10 inches and my height 8 inches. And I can decide what color I want to extend it as or whatever, and click OK. And now I have it the correct size, and I can just double check that image size. Yep, it's an 8 by 10 by 250. Okay, so that's the other option. You can take your smaller image, just make sure the resolution is at 250, and then go to canvas size and extend it. All right, and then from here I would proceed. I have to unlock my background, and just as I was doing in the other video, you know, make my selections, Control J, V to switch to the move tool, and start moving things out, and start to deconstruct it and reconstruct it. Control T. I'm just going to use a lot of keyboard shortcuts, and start seeing, you know, like, can you create some other patterns or what else you could do with it. Okay, so in the other video I'll talk about the steps for making this project, and this one I just wanted to talk about making sure that you have your image file size really set up to be the right size.